welcome everyone. This is the Hidden Dimensions podcast, where we seek to uncover perspectives, values, and techniques that give data science its meaning in this very crazy, ever-changing, complex world. And so this podcast is a production of the Florida Data Science for Social Good program at the University of North Florida. Your co-hosts today are me, Dr. Dan Richard, and then I'm a psychology professor at University of North Florida. And also here is Dr. Karthikeyan Umapathy.
Hello, my name is Dr. Karthikeyan Umapathy. I go by Karthik, and I am one of the co-director for this Florida Data Science for Social Good program, and I'm a professor here in UNF School of Computing.
Right. Yeah. So, we started this podcast, this hDim podcast, because we were working with nonprofit organizations, with our industry partners who do data science work, and of course our students and other faculty members. And we were just realizing that, this conversation needed to be expanded, broadened. We were having wonderful conversations, really interesting ideas, and thought that we should share this out with more people. That was the idea behind the podcast to begin with. But it really emerged out of the Florida Data Science for Social Good program, which started back in 2017, I think was our first iteration of that. But actually we started in 2016 having conversations about that, if you remember that.
Okay.
And so... but I want to kind of start talking a little bit about the program, what it is, and then how we got connected to that and how we started that. So the program actually takes students who are emerging in their data science skills, and we pair those students up with projects that are offered by our nonprofit organizations, our nonprofit partners. So basically, our nonprofit organizations bring the data, they bring the issues, the concerns that they have, and our students work on those projects over the summer and try to provide some data science solutions that help those nonprofit organizations make decisions. And data-driven decisions, as opposed to just going with their gut. Yeah, and so that program, again, it involves students, it involves our community partners, but we have a lot of subject matter experts among our faculty, and then also our industry professionals who are also working in the field and know a lot about these data science techniques and are providing that support for our students during that summer internship. Yeah. And when we started this project, we weren't sure that this was going to go because it was a lot of different players, a lot of different partners.
Correct.
But we had some challenges, but we're on our way, and we've been doing it now for 7 years, and we were saying we need to really expand this conversation.
Yeah, when we started, it was for us to combine both of our strengths, and that's the technique we use inside our program too. We combine the strengths of our students and make them do something socially innovative solutions, right? So what I mean by that, when we started in 2016, I was working with the community members, nonprofits, and using School of Computing students to develop web technological solutions. Whereas you were doing the same thing, working with your psychology graduate students and working with local nonprofits and doing data analysis, statistical analysis, reports and other solutions. We were doing it. We essentially paired what we were doing individually and decided to work together. And the other interesting aspect and more different, before whatever we were doing was we were bringing the real world inside the classroom, but that real world was still confined to the classroom settings. So there were projects that would be considered no-go, and there were projects that would be considered go, depending on the student skill set and what kind of other additional challenges that may bring into the students. So some of it may be challenging. It's something the students should really work, but it may not fit with the course learning outcomes, and we would have to say no to those. right? So, but when in 2016, still data science as a field existed. The jobs were starting to increase. There was demand happening, and profit companies were learning how to use data science at that point in time, but non-profit had no clue, and they didn't have access to any resources, right? But the importance of them moving away from gut-driven decisions and then moving towards this data-driven decisions, and the style of making decisions, the approach of making decisions that stays on regardless of who's in the leadership role, and in non-profit leadership role kind of always switches around, and those decision-making style and the approach needs to be intact. And to address all of these challenges, why we started doing data science for social good, like when we started in 2016, every week we will sit and talk for a couple of hours to figure out how do we organize it, how do we do it. And very happy to say that it's been an enriching experience and successful one. It is still challenging to keep doing it, but it is definitely a job satisfaction and rewarding type of activity for sure.
Yeah, I remember us having that conversation at the Nonprofit Center. So it's the Nonprofit Center of Northeast Florida. Rena Coughlin was the director at the time. And Karthik and I had both we knew each other. We knew the work that we were doing. We knew we were both working in the community. We also were familiar with the Data Science for Social Good initiative that had started at University of Chicago. And so we were both familiar with it. And then we were sitting down at a board meeting, or as a planning meeting for the Nonprofit Center. And the executive director at the time, Rena Coughlin, she said, "Hey, do you guys know about this Data Science for Social Good thing? Like, this is what we should be doing here. Like, we've got the capacity, we've got the need here in Northeast Florida. We really need this type of program." And we kind of looked at each other, kind of like, yes, I agree. This should be done. And she really provided the spark and the interest to say, let's make this happen. And so I think it was, yes, you have two professors here, one from School of Computing, another one from Arts and Sciences and Psychology, teaming up. But we also team up with our nonprofit organizations, and they bring that value to the program as well. Yeah,
Rena definitely have all the hands in the success. She's definitely culprit with us on this initiative.
Yeah, she can be assigned blame for all of this as well. So Karthik, we've been talking about this program, Data Science for Social Good, and how we were doing things in our classes, and then we brought that to the nonprofit organizations and combined it together. But how did you get started in data science work, really, in the beginning?
Yeah, so I am more of the web technology person, and anyone knows web is how we collect data, right? And the web is how we present those data and information. So quite obviously, I was involved with those processes and the systems on it. And then other is developing the solutions around it is where my strength and interest and passion, all those exist. So it was a natural push from, all right, let's find the best way to collect data and best way to present processed information to the audience to, all right, what's going on in the data? How do we analyze it? How do we help people now make sense of those data and the information we extract out of it? So that's how I got interested in it. So one easy way is for everyone to understand, right? So if we put a graph in front of everyone, some of them will understand it, some of them will interpret it in the same way. But then if you start putting series of graph, one slide after one slide after one slide with people, you did information overload. So how do we really help them understand what went behind that? Why the graph was generated? What is that you focus on a given graph? and then you go one at a time to help people discover that now the pattern and what is the story you're trying to tell and what is the decisions that now they have to make. And you're not making the decision, but you're helping them guide so that they can think and they can make those decisions on their own foot. But it is not based on their guide, it's based on the information you presented, right? So that was the reasons that I got involved in. And it is kind of still fits with what I do and what I feel passionate about. It is not just about developing the solution, but it is just developing the solution for the right purpose, for the audience, so that it enriches the experience of whoever is going to use that solution.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's that hidden dimension of the social good, that when you connect social good to a data science project, right, then you're really bringing in that additional dimension of that social partner, right?
Okay.
And they're working with you to really see those insights realized, right? So it's one thing to have insights from data, which is great for data scientists, but it's how do we connect those insights to real solutions and real issues that our partners are working on.
And then help them build that confidence around it. If they don't know why you got from point A to point B, there's no confidence on it. Then why would and how would people would use that to make decisions? So that was more discussion on the data science side of the things, as we call ourselves data science for social good. So how did you got involved with DSSG, and what was your angle from the social good sense?
Yeah. So my interest in data science started back in 2000s, even over 20 years ago. And so I was working for a for-profit organization, and what we did is we did consulting for for-profit retail and restaurant concepts. And we would build these very sophisticated prediction models and, artificial intelligence modules that would help predict, what the stores should do, what would they see in sales, what would they see in product mix, things like that. But really, I caught the bug for data science back then, and for big data, because we were working with huge data sets. Yeah, we did. National companies with stores all over the United States. So that really put I caught the bug, so to speak, around data science. But then as I, entered into a faculty position and teaching students how to analyze data, how to process data, I really felt like there was something, a dimension that was missing, right, for the students. And that was to see that what they were doing on the data side, what they were doing on the analysis side, had application, right? It had a meaning, it had a purpose, and that people were going to actually use the data. And so one challenging thing for me that challenged me as a young scholar was that the modal number of times a published research article is cited, used by someone else, is 0. That means most of the things that we publish, that's the modal amount of times, most of the things that we publish, nobody ever sees it, reads it, or uses it ever again. So that was a real challenge for me, as a scholar, wanting the work that I do to have some purpose. Okay. And so I started kind of looking for ways to have these kinds of analyses benefit the broader society.
So not doing analysis for sake of analysis.
Right. Why? What are we doing this for? Who's really going to be using it? And so that challenged me and also pushed me to look for opportunities to help take data analysis and let it serve some sort of purpose. And so partnering with nonprofit organizations really provided that opportunity because, first of all, they're interested in the analysis, right? Yes. And they are trying to make important decisions, but then they usually don't have the capacity within their organizations to be able to do that type of, detailed analysis and sophisticated statistical techniques. That just don't have the capacity. So we can come along and we can provide that capacity. And I think that fueled our conversation, and we said, what is this data science for social good going to be about? What is it about? And we came up with this term called social trustee of knowledge. Actually, we didn't come up with the term. It was provided by Julie Hatcher at IUPUI.
I see.
And she just kind of framed it in that way to talk about community-based work. Is you become a social trustee of knowledge. You take your work and you provide some benefit to the broader society. And so that has really connected with us and connected with our students for years now, is helping them to develop their skills and then to become these social trustees of knowledge. Yeah. Right.
Good. All right. Yeah. So let's get into talking more about how we operate as a DSSG program, and then we can get into more memorable memories around that.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So as we mentioned before, 2016 is when we started talking about it, trying to figure out how we will fund this program. And as we asked, if we have not already mentioned it, we wanted to be outside the classroom experience. So the natural fit was to do it during the summer. And other, in University of Chicago, where this kind of concept existed, they also were doing as a summer internship program. And that was the catch that we liked too. So initially the first year we did it as only 10-week summer internship program. And we quickly realized that we need more time. And then the following year in 18, we did it as 12 weeks. And now we do it as a 12-week internship program. It is a very intensive work. So while it is work experience, we do a lot of coaching for the interns that are working with us. So they get coached. We are bringing them for their strengths. And then we really coach them in how exactly they could use the things that they know, the skills that they have to really complete the project, right? So they get coached a lot on the technical side, on the statistical side, and again, they get coached based on their disciplinary background too. And then all the interns also get very much coached on how do you interact with the client, how do you interact with the mentors who's going to give you the best practices, right? How do you interact with each other? How do you communicate? How do you present? Everything they get coached. So essentially, over those 12 weeks time period, they become this well-rounded data scientist. But as Dan already mentioned it, they also have this social consciences. So and hopefully, we hope, and they are still hopefully using it wherever they go. That sense of how to work with data and the sense to help others around them and continue to do those social good things.
Yeah, I think that's one of the hidden dimensions, shall we say, about doing this data science for social good program, where the students meet regularly. So it's like every other week during this 12-week program, they're meeting with the community agency, with the community partners. They're processing what are they doing and how is that going to help this community agency. So they get that feedback, and really they get mentoring by the community agency to say, hey, if you want to step into this particular area dealing with these particular issues, whether it be homelessness or food insecurity or health needs for the homeless. As the students kind of enter into that space, they need that mentoring from the community agency to help them understand what are those perspectives, what are those dimensions of the work that they're doing, so they can match the data and the analysis and the projects with what's going to be helpful within that organization and for that social need. And then the students also meet every other week with the subject matter experts, the faculty, and the industry professionals who bring those best practices, that bring those theoretical perspectives to the work as well. So the students get that mentoring. I mean, they get mentored from
from us and from
program
them,
directors. They get mentoring from the community agencies, and they get the mentoring from the scientists, the faculty, the professionals. They get all of that together, and that mixture, I think, really helps them kind of advance in their data science skills, right? They become a better data scientist because they can bring those different perspectives together.
Or they become better psychologists, or they become better health professional. Again, we recruit interns from computing disciplines, data science, computer science, information systems, science, information science, statistical degree programs, right? Psychology, anthropology, political science, the other areas on social science side. We are College of Health students, business and business analytics students, right? So again, depending on the need, we will hire from College of Education too. So yeah, it's one of those unique programs where we get to hire students from any of the 5 colleges in UNF. We get to hire students from other Florida universities. We get to hire students from outside Florida across the country too. So it's really, really, I would have to say, it's a privilege for us to do something like that. While we talk more about our interns and what do they learn out of it, but it is also the organizations, nonprofits. They're coming and working with us. They are also learning. So then what kind of things are they get? They are getting this data and they are getting the analysis, but that's not the only experience they get, right? What do they get out of this process?
Yeah, I think it's that mutual benefit, right? That the students are learning, but the nonprofit organizations are gaining some experience, and then we're all kind of connecting together and helping each other through that. So one project that I remember that was really great that the nonprofit organization was able to kind of gain some insight from what we were doing is that we were working with a nonprofit organization that provided youth programming for youth that may have had some involvement with the juvenile justice system, or they may have been in foster placement. So they're experiencing a number of challenges. And so this program, they were looking at it and they said, oh, well, we can measure how good the students are doing, not by a checklist, but how many holes in the wall that we have to repair. So we were looking for an accurate data point about how well the students are doing. We could just go and count the number of holes in the wall.
Yeah, you're talking about Performance Arts Academy.
That's right, the Performance Academy. Yeah, and as we were, as the students were working on the project and talking with those community professionals. One insight that came out that I think was really great was understanding that, yes, we wanted to track, the challenges that the students were having, but we also wanted to track the insights, the things that the students, the progress that students were making, the positive things that were happening. So not just tracking the negative, but also tracking the positive things that were happening so that those could be presented as well as outcomes of the program.
Yeah, the transformation that students who are working with the Performance Art Academy go through, we wanted to capture that and highlight that, right? Yes.
Yeah, so what about you? What's some things that you've learned over the years and insights that have come from the students or from the mentors?
So as much as the students learn, as much as the nonprofits learn. So we work with a lot of faculty members and a lot of industry professionals. So very specifically on the industry professional sense, they've been doing this data science as their bread and butter as the work. But then when you set into the private setting is very different. And when you come out to do this work with nonprofits, data is different, data challenges is different. It's not on the same scale. I think it provides enriching experience for them. And as meaning doing this program inside the academic setting, inside a university setting, is that an advantage that we can go and ask different people to come and work with us. And then when we assemble them as a group, and as a group we thinking over the challenge, it's as much as we learning from those industry professionals, what is the best practices. The same industry professionals also learning from each other of, how do the other person is thinking about the same thing, and what kind of approaches they are using it. So it is enriching experience for them too, in that sense. It is it is uniquely like we are learning, the students are learning, nonprofits are learning, our faculty members are learning, and our industry members are also learning from this whole this what we call as this collaborative triad engagement process that we do inside this internship thing. It's a collaborative problem solving process. It's a very powerful thing to do, but we are limited on number of the students we could work with and the number of projects we could work with, and not necessarily all problems are fit for it, but you always find that sweet spot to work with it.
Yeah, and I think that's, I guess, kind of you're bringing all this together is like why we decided to start this podcast, right? Is to say, if we can build these collaborative spaces, build these opportunities for those people working in the data science field and the social good fields, and bring them together and have these conversations, then we're all enriched by that conversation.
All right. So what are the other memorable moments you have had with this program?
I want to mention one, another one, I guess. And that was, we were working on this project for an environmental education program. So the Guana River Preserve. And they were trying to solve this problem about the citizen science data. And they had this question about, well, is our citizen science data matching up with the actual scientific data? And could we bring those two pieces together? That was the main question that they had for our students to work on. And we had this mentoring meeting. We were talking about like industry professionals learning from each other and students learning that. And we were trying to figure out, how do we represent accuracy of all of this data? And, there was this question about, well, sometimes the sensors data is inaccurate because you have crabs crawling over them and everything. And so there's just a lot of questions about how to represent this. And we had one of the industry professionals was not a biological sciences person. Actually, his training was in safety and risk. So he did a lot of work in the healthcare industry around risk. And he said, when we look at these problems, we just show the data, like just show just stack the data on top of each other and show it. And then you'll see what those differences are. Yeah. And so, we were trying all of these different statistical techniques and processes, but it basically ended up being a visualization that we were able to see, and like how clearly everything matched up from the two different data sources. It was really great. And it's like we all had an opportunity to learn from a different field.
Yeah, good example of the haha moment.
Yes.
We would have in it. Right. So I know today we are really talking about our program and what are the hidden dimensions we discovered. So let's get into why we're doing this podcast, who should be listening this podcast, or what is our need and intention behind doing this episode series.
Yeah, I think so. We're looking for those people that are working in the data science field, but they also do work in social good, whether it's kind of through their volunteer service or through working in an industry that has that social good dimension. Yeah. And so they're using those data science skills to connect to things in our community that are important for our community. And they're working and seeing that connection between data science and social good. And then, of course, we want students that are interested in this data science field and interested in seeing how their data science skills can connect with social good, that they might also be interested in hearing from these different perspectives. And then students that are involved in the social good side, right? That they would say, oh, well, you know what? There are these opportunities to bring data science into my social good work, and we can start to connect things that way. And then from our industries, right, whether they be nonprofit or for-profit, seeing again that there's this opportunity to develop really high-quality data science projects and address important social needs. And so anyone who's interested in those aspects, I think would be interested in listening to our podcast.
So we want to tell their stories,
Yep.
their challenges, what they learned, and help them share those experiences, right? So
Yeah.
that's how we build what we call as best practices, right?
Right.
By sharing and having conversations around it. So I know, is it only going to be about data? Is it going to be technology in abroad? Is it going to involve talking about AI and challenges, or what is the boundary for us?
Yeah. Well, because we are kind of like spanning multiple areas, right? That I think, the topic is quite broad. Like when you say data science for social good, we could, dive into topics about AI or sophisticated statistical models and how those are kind of playing out. But there's also that human and community dimension, right, to data science for social good. And so we want to bring those perspectives in as well, because, both sides, right, need each other. I guess I would say that the data science side and the social good side, we both kind of need each other.
Good.
And so I think this podcast is going to bring those pieces together. And so there'll be something for everyone. So it won't be a just complete, data science podcast, data, AI, analysis. Or it won't be completely like social good and describing those. It'll be kind of a mixture of those. And so we want to find that mixture probably in every podcast.
Yeah, we want to talk to the people who are just getting started. We want to talk to the people who are in it.
Right.
Right. And we want to talk to the people who are getting impacted because of decisions that is made by data, right? It could be the decision maker themselves, or those people whom the decision maker are making decisions.
That's
and
right.
Other community members or other people who are getting impacted too. It is an ecosystem, right? And it has a ripple effect, and we want to get into those things, talk those things, and be a space for, let's talk and let's learn from each other. Right?
Yeah, so we invite our community, right?
Yes.
So, if you're out there, if you're doing this type of work, or you really connect with these ideas, we invite you to connect with us and let us know what you're doing. We'd love to share great ideas out to our broader community.
Good. All right. So what is next? How often they should hear from us?
Be expecting to hear from us. But again, we'll have interviews with students who've been through the data science for social good programs. We'll have interviews with industry professionals. We'll have interviews with community agencies and community leaders. So come back, join us, and in the next episode.
Thanks,
Thanks everyone. See you next time.